Hello and welcome to Dividing Decimals by One-Digit Numbers. This is Chapter 9, Lesson 6, and this is your Nelson Math-focused Mathcast with Mr. Burko. Our goal today is to divide a decimal by a one-digit number using models and symbols. In our book, Abby has a shed in her yard and she wants to know what the floor area of each section of this storage shed is. The floor itself measures 3.72 meters squared, but it has been divided into 4 sections. Now, for your turn, I would like you to pause the presentation and I would like you to think of a way that we could probably do this with the manipulatives that we have in our class normally. I'm not going to ask you to actually go ahead and do it unless you really want to, but at least give it some thought and think about what you would have to do to make this happen. Welcome back. I hope that in your head it made sense to use base 10 blocks. It's a nice way to divide a decimal number because we can use real objects and we can shuffle them into different groups and we can make it look right to us and then translate it onto paper. So here is our mat and we have ones, tenths, hundredths, and thousandths. We're going to represent 3.72 meters squared as 3 of these cubes. We've got 7 tenths and 2 hundredths, but we're going to move the mat away because I want to convert these into 10 flats each. So here's what's going to happen. That's going to delete, and we're going to divide it into 4 groups. Now, putting these as 9 flats takes up quite a bit of space. So this represents 9 flats, and I just put 9 flats there to remind you. So that would be 9 tenths, 9 tenths, 9 tenths, 9 tenths. Now that doesn't add up to 3.72. We have a remainder here. We've got this 0.12, which we can actually break down again and divide that into 4 groups. So I'm going to turn this 1 flat, which represents 1 tenth, into these rods, and then I can divide the rods into the 4 groups quite evenly, and there's no remainder now. Each of these groups divides into 0.93 meters squared, or 93 hundredths. Now, I want to start talking about how we divide numbers using the standard pen and pencil way. We won't always have base 10 blocks around, and sometimes it's just quicker to do it this way, even though we could draw the base 10 blocks. So this is the same representation. It's 3.72 divided by 4. So we would use this type of symbol here, which is for division. Sometimes this line is curved, sometimes it's straight. And so we can take that decimal out. I don't know if you noticed what I just did, but I took that decimal out, and it's the same as saying 372 divided by 4. So what happens is the 4 divides into 3 no times. So we're going to just bump the 0 up there. But the 4 then divides, the 37's divided by 4 9 times. The 4 can go into 37 9 times. Then what we're going to do is we're going to multiply the 9 by 4. And that gives us this number down here, 36. So just to recap, 4 can't go into 3 at all, but 4 can go into 37 9 times. So we have to represent that by a 0, and that doesn't make sense just yet, but it's going to make sense pretty soon here when we turn that decimal back into the number. So we're going to minus 36 from 37, so 37 minus 36 gives us 1, and then we're going to bring the 2 down. Okay, and this hopefully rings a bell for you doing this technique, but we can talk about it in class, of course, a little bit further at our next lesson. Then we're going to divide 12 by 4. So 12 divided by 4 is 3, and that's where I get this 3 from. And then we're going to multiply 3 times 4, and that equals 12. We're going to minus 12 from 12, and that gives us 0, which means there's no remainder in this equation, and it's 93. We'll bring those decimals back. Okay, so the decimal is just in the same place as it was. So the answer is 0.93, or 93 hundredths, and that should sound familiar because that's what we discovered with the base 10 blocks. That's it, dividing decimals by one-digit numbers. Thanks for joining me.